Hey, Don here. Okay, back again with another live stream, and it only took me 3 or 4 hours to get things working right so I could start. I've been setting up for all 3 or 4 hours. I've done so many tests. I was trying to get the audio and video in sync, and I got it worked out to where I can use my mics on my cameras if I want to. But of course, when I'm here at the desk, I want to use my good SM58. And after all that, I don't know why, if it had anything to do with anything, but because it does different things at different times. But I had my audio mixer setting. I'll show that part right there. I don't know why I'm going into it. Guess it's just what's on my mind. Oh, now I moved things. Desktop screencast right here. I'm not going to open it because it's liable to make my machine use up all its memory real quick. But if you open that up, you can you can change some of the audio settings. You can do a delay to the audio, like when the video is behind the audio, then you can delay the audio. Anyway, I had it on 9. I thought that was just right for the mic, and it had been. But today I've had to fiddle with it forever, and I finally arrived on 5, setting 5. Or I believe it's adding 5 milliseconds of delay. Although well, I won't go into all that. You can do negative and you can do positive numbers, but if it's negative, it says minus so-and-so, and if it's positive, it's just the number, and it's kind of hard to figure out which way to go for me. So anyway, you'd think you could just look at your mouth, or well, I've finally figured out that I need to. Oh, I'm still on desktop. I finally figured out that I can do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is the best I've got it. And it'll fool you. It can be too far one way or the other. And excuse me. And back to the desktop for a second here. You can be too far one way or the other and have really be off. And you'd think, I used to think I was pretty good at, I used to fix videos when they were like that, and I always had trouble. It's just trial and error for me. I just got to watch this. If I didn't want to restart OBS Studio again before I started, because what I always need to do is do one good test at least before I start streaming. And I wasn't sure if I had changed any settings or anything. When you change settings, it usually makes it use up all its memory. And it wasn't doing that. It was doing really well. Well, I had quit coughing. Started coughing at the beginning, and then I got better. After some allergy medicine and a cough drop. I'm taking a cough drop right now. Maybe it's causing it. Cough drop. It's draining. It's down my throat. Drainage is what makes me cough most of all. But my throat's getting kind of sore, get raspy from talking so much as doing my test. So anyway, yeah, that's staying about right there. If it's not climbing, I should be all right. If it climbs too much, I have to stop I'll just have to stop and start over. So what I'm planning on doing today is mostly a desktop screencast, and I do have a camera set up pointing at. Well, sometimes I can't do a screencast, but I want to show what's going on the screen, so I have one camera pointing at the screen. Although half the time the white washes out and all that stuff. The only way you can get over that is you could do manual focus, but that's really hard with these phones. But you can just, with autofocus, you can bring the phone up close. Can't see my hand. Bring the phone up close and to the screen, and it'll focus in. If you get rid of the other things, the colors and things, and just show the white, then it can focus in on it. But anyway, I think it's more white balance than anything. That's the problem. But so yeah. If I can take the phone and hold it up there, but on the tripod, I don't want to do that unless I have to. And I'm going to be doing a screencast. So anyway, what I have here, what I'm going to be doing is I'll show you on my endoscope. I'm always talking about it. There's my little Wintec micro SD card, I believe. Yeah, micro SD. and I got my little endoscope set up over my keyboard tray. It's white and real nice finish on it, actually. Well, the part that hadn't been rubbed on, you know. And I'll show you my trying to figure out my adapter. It's got tape on it to keep that card from falling out. But I'll show it to you. Let's see which way is right set up. I can't remember. I've got just the right distance, but it's not a big enough area. But that's a Strontium brand, and I have 2 Strontium SD cards, so I have 2 of these adapters. They came with that USB adapter. I never even heard of one until I bought these. Of course, it was the first SD cards I'd really ever bought anyway. But I'll put it in there. And but this is a Wintec, and that's why it's loose in there. It's just the size is not exactly the same. You know, it's just a little bit thinner or less wide, not as wide. And I'll show you it put in there. That's all you see is just a little bit sticking out. And I just took, I hope I'm not getting this tape too dirty to stick. I've been using it a while. It's just about right because it's not sticking so much that it's pulling the label off. And it's flexible. It's not regular Scotch tape. It's clear. I consider it packing tape. Although it's not as stiff as some, it's not that packing tape with the big line. You know, most packing tape real packing tape has those lines in it of cord. This is just pretty good heavy duty clear tape. I cut it with scissors to make it small enough. It's like almost 2.5 inches wide or 3. You know, clear tape. It's not very clear now because it's got a lot of stuff stuck to it. But that keeps it. Sometimes it would back out a little bit and not make contact, and that keeps me from having that problem. So yeah, here's where you can see over here. See in the bottom left corner where I laid it there. My finger there. So anyway, that's where I've got it set up now. I've got it hanging up in my rack, and plugged into the back of my computer because I needed to plug this into the front. So I cannot remember where to go on my deal. I hit my audio with titles. So I'm going to go plug it in down there. I'm trying to see if any of my cameras could even begin to show what I'm doing, but just do this. It's not that it's not necessary to show me plugging. I've done that before. I mean, just, sometimes it's nice to show what your machine you're using, but I'm not going to do that every time because you got to move everything. I mean, I do have the handheld. What the heck? I keep forgetting. I didn't have it where I could use it. Let's see if I can aim it down that way ahead of time. I couldn't have really plugged it in and hold this at the same time, but there's the machine. It's a Lenovo i5. It's what they used to call a wind term. That's what I use all the time. It's a quad core with 4 gig of RAM. It's the fastest thing I got actually ever owned myself. I built a 6-core AMD for somebody one time. But that's it. And it'll handle what I'm doing, but not... Phones do that sometimes, make that noise in the audio. And the speakers, they send out some kind of rogue signal. I'm trying to find I moved it and now I can't find it. Okay, there it is, desktop. But, so let's get over here on the desktop. And so that's what I'm streaming from, and that's what I'm going to be doing this work on today too, is that the Lenovo i5. So here's all my tests. And I usually try to I'll usually leave this side open on Crusader, my favorite twin panel file manager, but I'm going to be working in it, so I can see that my file's growing. So that means I'm making a video. That's my backup video is what it is. Of course, my stream, I think I will check it before I get all headlong into this. Oh, yeah. You know, I could do that. Yeah, could I do that without banging into my camera and everything? I could turn on my laptop and leave it on that page, or I don't have to actually leave it on the page. I could just, it'd be nice if I could. It does make a rattling noise and it bugs me. The fan, when it starts working hard, and it'll work hard sitting there on that page, it'll sit there and rattle. Let's just not do that right now. If I feel like I really need to, I will. Yeah, we got a good stream. I just waste time getting it all turned on and logged in and all that. If I was going to do it, I should have done it ahead of time. But anyway, so we're on the desktop, right? Yeah, desktop. So we'll get in here, and I'm going to go get on that 32 gigabyte card, and this is my easy to boot. There's the E2B icon. Let's see what it looks like. I think that might. Oh, yeah, there it is. E2B. That's all it is. Okay, little icon. I think for. It's probably not even for. It's not the boot icon. It's some other icon. But anyway, I'm going to add. I already added a few things. I have Hiron's boot CD on there. Oh yeah, let's do that first. I actually forgot to do that. I unzipped it. It didn't boot right. And here's something to notice when you, with this easy to boot, sometimes you actually have to change the file extension to a special name that they've worked out in their system, and it makes it work. And I believe that that's all right. ISO WinVH. I left this one the same just in case. I went ahead and extracted it again. I thought sometimes if you have already unzipped a file or extracted a file and then you copy it over to an SD card or a USB stick, it won't work right. Usually that's only with a program that you extracted and then run it. And all you have to do, you know, that like basically they usually call them portable, you know, in portable mode you extract them and you just run them. That's usually where I've run into that trouble. And it's really to do with file permissions, because the file permissions are different on the machine you extracted it on than they are on that SD card. So if you extract it to that SD card, sometimes you got to copy or it's easiest and kind of the safest way to do it, copy that zip, or see that's a zip file right there that was inside of another zip file. I think it was a tar.gz, and there was a zip file inside of it, which is a keyboard patch. This is for Windows. This has actually got a mini called Mini XP. It's kind of a rescue and tweaking and all kinds of cool tools on there. But it was made during the XP days, so it doesn't do very much on 7 or anything new like that. Anyway, I use it sometimes. It does have tools for working on your hard drives and your file system, so that's why I want to have it on there. But it wouldn't boot last time I tried to boot it, and it said the files need to be made contiguous. There's a message on there, and I'll be doing that when I get done. After I delete what I don't want and copy what I want, then I'll do the make files contiguous, and I'll have to do that in my Windows XP virtual machine that I have on this system here. But that'll be the last thing I do. So anyway, I thought I'm going to copy it over here again, and I won't change the file name. I mean the file extension, and then we'll see which one, if either one of them boots, and I can always just delete the one I don't want. But these are extra files for doing things, burn, the HPCD in Windows, customizer that you run in Windows. But I'm going to put those, if they're not already, I'm going to see if they're already in there, in my files, my downloads folder. Let's see. Yeah, Hiron's Boot CD apps. Oh yeah, I've already got them. Let's just do a sync and make sure they're all there. I think they're all going to be synchronized. Selected files, right to left, compare, start, and it says, what do you want to do? Override them. They're the same, so I'm going to just say skip all. And since I don't need them in 2 places, don't want any other files besides ISO type files in those ISO folders anyway. Now I'm going to go ahead and get out of there and go to my 4.5 terabyte backup drive. Go to downloads. You can tap on the keyboard to go really quickly to your folders you're trying to get into. And I'm going to put some more Fedora. I've downloaded Fedora 26. I'll go ahead and organize it by file extension. So actually, no, I need to go about modified so I'll know I get the newest ones easily and quickly. But they can't go in that folder. You have to put the right type of application in the folder. It took me a lot of study to learn how to set this easy to boot up. It really is easy to use once you get it set up, but it was a real learning curve. And I've been using these multi-boot apps, for multi-booting Windows and Linux for years and years, but this one was very different. It'll do more than any other one I've ever used, though. So I would say it's worth it, because the coolest thing about it is you can just delete an ISO, put another one on there, and it will automatically see what's in there. But once in a while, I really haven't quite figured out what's the, common denominator, what makes you have to run this make files contiguous, which is really a little defrag program that came with this. I'm not sure what makes you, sometimes you have to run it, sometimes you don't, and I read the instructions, and then it's been months, and so I've forgotten what it said anyway. But the last time, I know several times I thought I just did what I was supposed to do, But okay, this is Fedora 26 Mate Live. Okay, 386. I'm gonna want that, and I think I can copy more than one. Well, I want to see. I've got 10.3 gig of free space. I don't want to fill it. I don't want to put too much on there. What do I have? I don't think it doesn't look like I have any Fedoras on there now. Let's do this one by alphabetical so I can kind of tell for sure. Yeah, there's no Fedora. I deleted all the Fedoras because they were alphas and stuff, and Fedora 25, which I don't want anymore. And then I already had Party Magic, Rescue Tux, Super Grub Disk, Super Grub 2, and Super Grub Disk Hybrid. I put all those on there. Those are really small, those there. Those are for fixing your Grub bootloader and stuff. So, yeah, okay. Now I'm going to go back by the date because I think that'll make it easier to find things. I'm going to get a drink. Cough drop finally finished. And I'll choke on it if I don't. It gets really small, Okay. Now, I definitely want Fedora Mate. I want both. I want 386. I want, I don't necessarily need 64-bit XFCE, but I want it. Okay, here's the other one I want. I want 64-bit Fedora Compiz. Well, you can't actually install Fedora from this. Some things you can install and it'll work, some you can't. I've tried Fedora 25 and it didn't work. The way it writes it on here and everything, what it has to do to boot it is different than the way Fedora has it set up, and it'll let you try to install it and then it just won't work. You'll get in trouble, I think, with the partitioning hard drive part. Let's see, 1.5. Okay, yeah, I think I got room for, I want the XFCE so I could boot it onto older machines and stuff. And that's actually all I have that on here that I would want, because the rest of these are the alphas and pre-releases and stuff. So, is there anything else I would need? Something I want to try there. There's one for ARM, which would run on the Raspberry Pi. I have a Raspberry Pi. I have a second generation Model B, I think it's called. Okay, copy. So that's 5.4 gigabyte. I knew that would be a good little amount right there. Now, and I have 10.3, so I can't do but about, I don't want to do but about 2 or 3 more gigabytes. Let's see. There is something else I think I wanted. I already have the Bane. I think I'll go back to alphabetical. I have 8.8, which I have. I think I did install that from this. No, I didn't. I used the regular USB stick. But you can boot them and try them out and fix. You can use them as rescue. You can use each one of these. Especially Fedora's got Gparted already on it, I think, and Fedora will mount, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Fedora will try to mount every hard drive on your system, every partition, And that's good if you want to mount it. If you don't want to mount it because you want to work on the partitions, then Debian might be better, and you run gparted. And they'll boot up quicker than Parted Magic. That's what it's for, and it has lots of good tools, has gparted and everything. Well, actually, this Parted Magic, it used to be a free open source, and now it went proprietary, and it's not free ever since 2013. So it's Parted Magic. Its gparted app is old, and it won't deal with some of the newer partitions. So you need the new one. You're gonna have to get an open source distro. It's really weird. I still don't think of it as not open source, but it says on their website we are no longer free and open. We're no longer open source. We are proprietary, and it's not real expensive to buy it, and it's the best one of those type of partitioning. It's got all the kind of partitioning tools, and that's where I learned about some of them from it that I've ever used. But it's best to me anyway. But I guess they just, they didn't get a community going and didn't get enough donations because they tried for years. They were out there for a long time. So they just went the other way. I don't know. Or maybe somebody made them an offer. Maybe they sold it to somebody. I don't know all the details. But and this is a good hard drive, and the SD card's good. They write pretty quickly. See, it's already got 1.3 gig on there. And you can go and start other writes, but with that much, I kind of hate to. We'll see. I don't want to make this take forever just waiting on files to write. I did do it earlier today. I had to put it in my other older machine to get to some of these other ones, and I didn't bother. I said, well, I don't know, since I couldn't do remote desktop because of the way it is on my routers, and I didn't want to keep trying to redo everything. Actually, I really couldn't because the way the routers are, I can get to my server. You can only forward one machine at a time, and I'm forwarding to my server. So I couldn't, without switching it off my server and then having to switch it back and all that junk. So I just didn't want to do that. So I just went ahead and plugged my USB stick into that machine and just didn't bother. I could have done a video with remote desktop of what I was doing, but it wasn't really that matter. I just thought a good example is all you need. You don't need to show every little detail of everything you're doing. So let's see. So these are all I have in the old machine. I have all the way back to like Fedora 6, I think, on there. I always try to save all the distros that I like or that I've used, especially Fedora, because it's my favorite that I use have all these years. But then the others I've tried out if I like them. As long as they're not something, if they work well and everything, then I keep them. Oh, now here's something I'd like to put on there just to boot it up and try it out. I could do it in virtual machine, but they don't generally run as well. And that's 3.5 gig. I can't. Not right now, anyway. That's good about having. I've never heard. My USB sticks are only 2 gigs, so I couldn't put anything that big on there. But I could on this as long as I clear space for it. But that's just I downloaded that today just because I saw it. And I get in an email, I get a newsletter. And the Raspberry Pi course wouldn't run on there, but that's a new one I just got in that same newsletter. I think it was SourceForge.net newsletter. This is Fedberry, and it's a Fedora remix for the Raspberry Pi that I had never tried or heard of that I remember. There's some more Raspberry Pi. Debian, I've already got all that on there. Did that earlier. Got the versions I wanted. Yummy. That's a tool that I like to use for. Yummy boot disk image. Multi-boot disk. That would be my tools that I made an image of. That might be something I would really want on there. That may have all these tools and there may even be the newer versions of these tools like Super Grub Disk and all that. See, I was thinking I built it with Sardu, and I accidentally, my lettering rubs off of I use blue and red to kind of help color code it, but because they rub off and I can't read them pretty quickly. And I thought I remembered which one was which. I reformatted one of them with Fedora 25, and it was actually my rescue stick that I messed up. And I thought I had an image, at least one image of one of my newer ones, but this says Yummy. I won't know without trying it out, but that's an IMG, not a ISO. I don't know if it'll boot. on there. I may put it on there and see. Let's see if I got anything better. Firewall, I don't need to put that on there. And here's a bunch of the tools for booting from ISOs. Booting to ISOs is what they usually say that I use. I'm not going to sit here and go through them all, but there's a bunch of them that I'll have used. Of course, I have my favorites. There's one that's kind of interesting. It's been around for years. That's files from 2013, but it's called Mobile Live CD. It's just an executable you put on your Windows system, and it'll let you run, and it'll set you up a little kind of what is it called? It'll set you up a live Linux system. You can run Linux from within your, which wasn't responding. That's what it was. See if my memories and all's doing okay. Yeah, probably just started using a little bit more CPU than normal. Whoops. It'll let you run, I forget if you have a choice, it might be like the bank or something inside of Windows. It's kind of neat to play with. It's basically running, if I remember right, it's basically running Linux in a virtual machine inside of the Windows, I think is what it does, but it's all automatic. You don't have to set it up yourself. Mobile Live. And then Raspberry Pi, more Raspberry Pi images. Yeah, it's not in alphabetical order. It was in newest to oldest, so now that makes a little more sense. Yeah, Parrot I wanted to try out, but that's too big to even get on there now, I think. Won't know for sure until, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't fit. And it's just not something I'm going to use a lot. I just wanted to try it out. And I can always boot that to in VirtualBox here on this machine and see if I like it. I thought I had downloaded another one. Oh, yeah, the other one was for Raspberry Pi. Okay, so the other one I'm really interested in, though. Yeah, there it is. I was going to say, I can't find it now. This one right here. If I've got space, which I think I would have space. I'm getting closer. Let's see. Oh, it didn't hang up. Oh, no, it didn't. It's working. Okay, I can't I can't start my virtual machine with all this going on. I'll have to close down everything except for OBS Studio and my virtual machine, and I can get by with running XP because, you know, it only really uses about 200, 300 megabyte of RAM and not too much processor. I only give the virtual machines one processor anyway, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, I don't let it use up my processing power. So anyway, and it still taxes the machine quite a bit. I give them a gig of RAM for like all my Linux and all that stuff. And for XP, I might have gave it a gig of RAM too. I can't remember. I started to say I'll open it up and show you the settings, but I'm not going to do that either. So actually, that might be less taxing on the system than open up a web browser or anything. I was thinking of what can I do while we're waiting. You know, I'm almost positive this one will fit. So let's copy it to the same. I know you can do more than one copy at a time without really any trouble. So, okay, we'll let them do that. The only thing is, if you do give Crusader a lot to do, it can use up a lot of system resources. If you're doing syncing, it will really go to town. Yeah, see, it's using 4% of CPU now because of what I just did. 5%, but it's only using 37 megabyte of RAM. See, and this is only using 413 megabyte of RAM. So, see, I have to be careful what I do. So, what I think I'll do here is let those work. Yeah, that's working. It's just slowed down a little bit. It was already slowed down. It doesn't seem any slower, I don't guess. It may have slowed down some since I started another one. See, this one's kicking right along, though. It'll probably finish before this does at that rate. Okay, so that's why I went ahead and started it. So I'm going to open up, no, not remote desktop, Oracle VM VirtualBox. I'll just open it up. Now I'm going to kind of look, and I'm not going to start any virtual machines. I can't do that yet, but there's my XP Pro. That is my first XP that I ever had. I bought that CD, and so it's actually installed with the license and everything in the in the VM. And yeah, it's not hurt anything to just run it like that. I didn't think it would. So here's the basics right here, and we are on desktop, right? Yeah. Here's the basics right here. 1XP Pro, 32-bit, I gave it 1024 megabyte, a gig of RAM. It's got floppy and optical and hard disk emulation in it. Video memory 32 megabyte. That's plenty for that. Yeah, it's a 10 gigabyte virtual drive, and I think I've got it darn near filled up already. And well, optical drive, host drive, DVD, RDV. That's my real. It can actually use the real DVD drive in my machine, and virtual audio, virtual Ethernet. It'll get on the internet, and you can. And that's how you get to your files. It's really strange how that works, but that's how it works. That's the way you get to your files on your local machine, the host machine, is through networking, and you have to go and go in the settings, and you set up shared folders. See, I have some shared folders that I share, my expansion drive, my big drive, and this. You actually, that USB drive, anything USB, you have to mount it in there too. And it takes it out of your host machine and mounts it in the virtual machine. But see, I was looking to trying to remember where the storage, but I have, you can use USB, you can use DVDs and CDs. Anyway, I'm not going to go through every bit of it, but and all you have to do, it's all set up, and all you have to do is hit start right there. This one I have where I don't have anything actually installed in the virtual hard drive. I just put CD ISOs or DVD ISOs, and you can run IMG files too, like that one I was just talking about. I think you can. Some of them you can, some of them you can't. IMGs were originally for floppy drives, and now they use that same file extension for USB. They started out, that's all they ever wanted. That's all that would really work on USBs to boot to, and it was actually hard to work with them. And I kind of stayed away with them. I just kept using ISOs. It didn't really matter to me. I just used what worked the easiest, And then they got to where they made the ISOs emulate USBs and tell the machine it was a USB. And then it turned out to work well, because what would happen is they wouldn't work right, and it took a lot of work to get them to boot on a USB. And now it's not a problem. You don't really see people giving out IMG files anymore much. And sometimes they just give you, they still do that. Sometimes they'll just give you like a tar GZ, some kind of compressed file, a zipped file, as everybody always says. And and you have to extract it. Usually you just extract it and then you just copy the extracted files over to the USB, as long as it's formatted FAT32 or something like that. That will work well. Usually FAT32 is what they always recommend. And you'll boot. Sometimes you do have to install a bootloader, though. And that gets a little, well, I had to do all that with the Easy to Boot, I think. But it helped. Most of it had little apps that came with it to do it for you, but some of it you had to do yourself. How far are we now? We're getting there. I guess my guess was wrong. It looks, well, I won't never say never, though, because 90% sometimes can be the longest stretch of the whole copy, from 90 to 100. So this one is already at 59%. They're both not moving fast anymore, though, so we'll see. I hope I didn't make a mistake starting that one. I keep wishing I could start that VirtualBox, but I know what it does. It makes this thing you can't really open up hardly anything else. I've done it before, so I do know I can run OBS and do a desktop screencast while I'm doing it, but that's pretty much it. What I can do without really bothering anything, I think, is well, there's two things I could do. I could stop and come back when this copying is done, or I could I may do that because I kind of need a break. I started this out, boot up my laptop. What I was going to say is I could boot up my laptop and go remote desktop to it, but not really any real point in that other than just looking at my live stream and stuff on there. But this is close, and I actually starting to need a little break. So I'm just gonna stop, and I will come back with a new live stream when these are copied over. And I think my machine, I'm going to say if my machine needs rebooting, I can even do that, you know, because if it gets tired or anything. But I think the machine's probably going to be okay. I haven't worked it real hard I've been, during all my tests and everything today, I've rebooted it. I think I've rebooted the thing 4 or 5 times today. Usually I just have to do it once a day, but yeah, those are going to be done. But yeah, I really do need a break again all of a sudden. So I'll come back. I'll come back here, and as soon as that's all done, I'll come back and start a new live stream. All right, this is done. That should be about 20, 30 minutes, maybe even not, maybe 15 minutes. We'll see. All right, we'll be back.